So this is my presentation on letter strategies, which are a subcategory of the mnemonic techniques we've been talking about. Let's start this with a quote by Klein-Hexel and Sumi. The letter strategy is used to help students remember a list of words related to the same topic. So what are letter strategies? They are, as we just read in the quote, mnemonic strategies for remembering lists or groups of information under the same topic. For both of these strategies we're going to look at today, they use the first letter from each item in a group to create a word or a sentence. The two types of strategies we're looking at today are acronyms and acrostics. So let's start by taking a look at acronyms. Acronyms take the first letter from each item and use it to create a new word. Some common examples that you might have heard of before are scuba, SWAT, laser, and radar. All of these words are actually acronyms of a group of words where they take the first letter of each word and create a new word. So for example, scuba stands for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, taking the first letter from each of those words and combining it to create the new word. So in education, I'm sure a lot of you have already used a lot of acronyms, learning different kinds of content. One example that you often see in the elementary school is HOMES, which is to remember the names of the Great Lakes. So the names of the Great Lakes are Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. So for these, we take the first letter from each item and we put them together to create the new word HOMES. Another example that I used a lot in my math classes was PEMDAS for the order of mathematical operations. PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So in this example, PEMDAS is not a real word, but you can combine the letters in a way where it makes it sound like a real word, which helps your students remember it. So now let's take a look at acronyms for student skills. So we can use this for other than just content. We can teach students skills that they need to be successful in the classroom. One example is SMART for goal setting. We've heard of SMART goals. That means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Using these 5 items helps students remember how to make goals that can make them effective in the classroom. Another example is SLANT, which is teaching students how to be effectively engaged during instruction. So SLANT stands for sit up, lean forward, ask questions, nod your head, and track the teacher. So both of these acronyms can be used to teach skills instead of content. So let's move on now to acrostics. Acrostics are similar to acronyms in that they take the first letter from each word, but instead of creating a new word with those letters, they use them to create a sentence. When you're making your sentence, make sure you make it grammatically correct so it makes sense when you say the sentence. It also makes it easier when you make your sentence memorable. So if you can think of something funny or silly or really descriptive, all of those things are going to make it easier to remember your sentence and thereby remember what the group of items is that you're trying to memorize. So let's look at some science acrostics. One that we used in biology class in high school was King Philip came over for green spaghetti. So this is the taxonomy order in biology. It stands for kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, and species, taking the first letter from each of those items and using them to use a new word in the sentence that we just created. And it is memorable too. Another example you've probably heard of before is my very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas, which is the order of the planets in our solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto. Except for now, Pluto is sadly not a planet anymore, so we need to get rid of our pizza, and let's change it to be my very educated mother just served us nachos. So as you can see, these they're easily adjustable. They can work for any grade level from high schoolers all the way down to elementary school. So very flexible, and you can use it to adapt to whatever content or skills you're trying to teach. So finally, let's look at some helpful tools for letter strategies. Acronyms can be easier for students to remember because it's just a single word that they're memorizing. So if you can rearrange the items to make an acronym, that could be helpful for your students. But if the order really does matter and you can't rearrange the items, you can use an acrostic instead, which are much more flexible and easier to make. So I provided here for you a few online resources for letter strategies. For acronyms, there's the website acronymcreator.net, which helps you create acronyms using the first letter or first couple of letters from whatever set of items that you input into it. And then there's a couple of different tools for creating acrostics. One is the mnemonicizer, and the other one is Spacefin's mnemonic generator. So I'm going to put links for these below on my website, as well as in the description area on the YouTube video for this video. So that's all I have to tell you today about the different letter strategies. I hope you have found this helpful and you can use them in your classroom.